KOTEVSKI, aka Gorgo from BATTLEGOD Productions, Australia's longest-lasting heavy metal label since 1994. Specialise in all genres of heavy metal and rock music worldwide. Yeah, man, go for it, man. Ask me whatever you want to ask me.
Beautiful, man. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, pleasure, bro. So, firstly, I suppose, you can get the nuts and bolts of it, mate. Tell us a bit more about BATTLEGOD Productions and what you actually do.
BATTLEGOD Productions, I actually sign up bands internationally, worldwide, and I do a lot of promo and distribution and marketing with them on an international scale. I deal with people like Rock Hard Magazine, Big Head Distribution, and a few other people that I deal with around Europe as well. That yeah, so I've been doing it for many years now, and it has its moments, it has its ups and downs, but it's cool, you know.
So, I suppose, basic question is, mate, like, so what does the band have to do actually before looking to join your roster?
Well, I like a band to be pretty much on the ball. When I set out interviews for them, I expect them to be done by a particular date or by a certain date. I would like the band to have a good production when they offer me something. Now, if it's someone that's well known or a known artist or a band, I accept hearing their demo material just to get an idea of what their stuff is like. So I like a band to be more reliable as well at the same time. So I'm not just like for business. I like to get to know my bands on a personal level as well. And that's what I've done with all my bands. We've all become friends along the way as well, so which is pretty cool. So, you know, they say never mix business with pleasure, but I do it all the time and it seems to work fine for me. So I'll continue doing that.
Yeah, it's good that way. You know, you get that sort of more personal nature too. Like, if you actually care about the people you're working with, it makes it a lot easier.
Yes, it certainly does. And to be on the same page with everyone with what's going on at the time, it's very important for both parties, for myself and for them, to know where we're at, you know, even if it's like regarding album sales or advertisements or interviews and whatever. I like for them to know exactly what I'm actually doing for their product. These days we've got it a lot easier with social media. When I first started off, we didn't have all this social media stuff. There was basically no internet when I first started BattleGuide Productions. It was all a fax machine, you know, and postage. So things are a lot easier now where, you know, if I've got an advertisement out in a magazine, in a foreign magazine, I'll take a photo of it and post it and tag everyone on it so they get to see that I've actually done work on it. So in the past, what I used to do is I used to actually get extra copies of the magazine. I used to ship them off to the bands, but ended up costing a lot of money dealing with all these, shipping all these magazines off overseas. And yeah.
So to dive into it a bit deeper, mate, like a lot of bands these days, especially these days because there's so much more music out there and so many bands, but a lot of bands will start off, they'll have a few gigs, you know, like a few people will say to them like, oh, geez, you guys are all right. And then all of a sudden they start calling people like yourself or sending them emails. But there's a lot that a band's got to do before they get to the stage of going to someone like yourself. So what sorts of things would you tell a band to make sure they've got in order before they actually start looking for representation?
Well, I guess imagery in a lot of ways means a lot for a band. The way they present themselves. It's, you know, you get a lot of bands that actually look like fans from the crowd, from the audience that actually are on stage and playing. Well, that's all good and all, but the thing is, you see it all the time. Now, when you look at bands like, just to mention a couple like Pegasus, you know, with all the leather and Temptress and a couple of others like that, like they actually have imagery, you know, which actually, you know, it's sort of theatrical in a way, I guess. When you're actually watching a band, you are watching a band. You're not watching some people wearing Slayer shirts or Iron Maiden or whatever. You're actually watching a proper band that have a concept behind their music, behind what they do. which is I think it's very, very important, because that's also where I believe professionality lies within a band as well, just an originality. I know it's a bit hard to be original these days because it's all been done and overdone and rehashed and all of the above. But there is still something there where a band can actually still get their true identity of who and what they are, than being, a clone of someone, if you know what I mean. So
So just say, right, we'll take this in steps then, bro. Like, just say a band's approached you, you're either signed them or you're potentially going to sign them. What services do you provide from there?
what services do I provide?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, the services I provide is, well, basically, we have to manufacture albums anyway. So I deal with my distributor, Code 7 in the UK. They'll make an order after receiving my sales info sheet on the band. Now, of course, it helps if the band has got multiple album releases or even a fan base, because at the end of the day, it's the fan base that's going to help the band to sell albums, no matter if it's here or overseas. But yeah, I do with multiple media agencies that I do with, Metal Ruse from here and Sure Shot Works from Germany. Which Sure Shot Works I mainly use for more of the bigger artists like Tony Mills and Tony Martin, for my Black Sabbath vocalist. But for more of the underground, more up and coming bands, I go through Metal Ruse from Australia. So, which is, I'm actually quite happy with their work. They're very, very good. They've gone a long way. I've known Michael for many, many years. He has come a long, long way since the first day I met him. But yeah, so they get their albums out there in foreign magazines, interviews, reviews, Rock Hard, Metal Hammer, and all that stuff. Classic Rock, Sweden Rock, Legacy Mag from Germany. It's just to mention a few, but there's heaps out there. So they get the promotion that they rightfully deserve, which is far more important than just having an album out there available without any media coverage. So it makes it harder for the band to actually be able to move product as well. So, and also the band would have to, produce an album once every 12 months to 18 months. That's the only way a band's going to get themselves known on an international level, when people continue seeing the band's name, continue reading their reviews, album after album, interviews, album after album, being available in multiple countries through my distributors and whatever. And so, it all has a domino effect. Like the band's got 2-3 albums and I advertise all 3 albums all at the same time, and you're eventually seeing the previous albums start picking up sales as well with the new album when they're out. So for the promo media marketing, I've been told by many people that I do a pretty decent job. I've even been told that by Tony Mills and Tony Martin, and even if you remember the old Australian record label, Modern Invasion Music.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Me and Daniel Janeka, we go way back. We've known each other for a very, very long time, and he's always told me in the past, when people talk to him about promo and media, he always tells them to come to me, so that I'm the master of it all. So I don't know, I just do what I do just to sell my product, really, to promote it. Because at the end of the day, when you're spending so much money on financing stuff and releasing stuff, you'd want to be able to recoup if possible. So it's really hard. I would rather a band have a few albums out and actually have their own fan base, because it makes it a lot easier to be able to move units of it. So, yeah.
I think another important thing to throw in there too, bro, like a lot of bands that I work with, I tell them the same thing, but too many bands these days think getting representation like yourself or like myself, that once they've got that, they can just sit back and things are going to happen for them. But at every stage of your career, you've still got to be out there pushing. You've got to be doing the groundwork. You've got to be getting in people's faces, and you've still got to contribute just as much, if not more, even though you've got representation.
I totally agree. I'll give you a little funny example, maybe because I'm throughout Europe and everywhere. In 2016, I done a little mini Norwegian tour. I think it was 5 or 6 dates in Norway with two of my Norwegian bands, Harm and Virus, which actually was pretty good attempt from my end, considering the fact I actually organised the shows from here, from Sydney. We did Oslo, Trondheim, Bergen, Kristiansand, Mandal. Just I think might be one more in there somewhere. But the thing is, when I approached the tour, I approached it originally starting in the Norwegian Metal Hammer magazine. I had 2 half-page ads in there, and from what I've noticed from the second advert I did in there, the whole Norwegian media just jumped on board, and they all started promoting the tour. So, which was really, really cool. I thought, wow, this is awesome. This is excellent. I never expected that. So we did that, and being there in person, was quite surprisingly enough. You could say in a lot of ways that every second person knew who BattleGod Productions was, and I still meet people here in Australia that do not know who BattleGod is. So I don't know why it's like that. I guess maybe because I got lack of media or lack of coverage in Australia. I guess, more European based. I really don't know, but I'm just that's what I've noticed. So I don't know what the missing link is there. So
Well, hopefully a few people listen to this and it raises your profile a touch.
well, let's hope so. Mate, been doing it for nearly 30 years. So about 30 years now. So I'm still in the game. Got quite a few bands. I don't release as much albums as I normally did in the past. I sort of stay more focused on more of a handful, if not one, maybe 3 albums, and just focus on those evenly in the media, like having a full page ad with all 3 albums in there as an example. So, and getting them reviewed and interviewed, and makes it a lot easier to market it as well, having less, considering the fact I do it all by myself. So it's not an easy task.
No, it's not indeed. And then you mentioned that you've been doing it for nearly 30 years, but in fact, next year is your 30th anniversary, bro. So have you got anything special planned?
Yes, I'm actually planning a 30th anniversary festival. If all goes to plan, I should have a few of my overseas bands coming down.
Nice.
Well, I'm hoping, well, I know that a few of them are interested now, depending on their schedule, if they can make it or not. That's another story. But I have sparked a bit of interest in it. With my overseas bands, like I've got like about 10 bands from Norway or something that I do with. So hopefully some of them can make it down, and hopefully Tony Martin, former Black Sabbath vocalist from the UK, can make it down and stuff. And, I'm planning it to be a really big event. That's my plan.
Very good.
And speaking about events, I've actually got something happening now on the 9th of December at the Rockdale Illingdon Sports Centre, which is a 12-hour metal and rock event from midday to midnight. I'm looking at 10 bands already, so that's going to be huge. And we're also talking about negotiating with a bus company on having a shuttle bus to be able to pick up the people from the station to the venue and back again. So just to cater for everyone, just so people can make it, and so there's no problems with anyone. So people that want to make it, they got no excuse this time. They can.
Is there a link or somewhere where people can go to find out more information on that?
Yes. Well, I'm actually at the moment I'm finalising all the bands. I think there's I've already announced 4 bands. I'll be announcing another 2 or 3 more over the weekend. Once I've got the whole band lineup, then I'm gonna have the link for pre-sale tickets online, and then I'll be slowly putting out all the information for that as well. So it's still about 5 months away, so there's still a bit of time to go. So I want to make it, make it really, really good. So
What was that date again, bro? So people can save the date.
9th of December.
December. There you go, kiddies. Chuck in your diary. There's something big happening.
Yep, man. You can find the event page that's actually there at the moment on the BattleGod Productions Facebook pages. So it's there. So you can just go and have a look. And as I said, at the moment there's only 4 bands finalised. There'll be another 2 or 3 that I'll be announcing over the weekend.
Very good, mate. Very good. So going back in time a little bit, bro. Like you founded Battle Guide Productions back in May of 1994. So what was your early vision for the company back then, and how has it changed since?
Well, back in the old days, well, to tell you the honest truth, I never really expected it to last this long. I guess it just as one thing led to another. I was doing my own little project back in those days. I had this, I had demo tapes back in like 92, 93, and that. It was a project called Gorgoroth, which later on I found out that there was a Norwegian band called Gorgoroth. So they actually beat me out to a vinyl or an album release. They beat me to that, unfortunately. But anyway, it is what it is. So then I decided, my background, my heritage is Macedonian. So I thought, since black metal is becoming really popular, really famous with all their Nordic stuff and Scandinavian and whatever, and I thought I'd just do my own thing and just come out with my own project called a Baltak. And it's all sung in Macedonian, which, we do have 4 albums out. None of the albums are actually available at the moment, all sold out throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. But, from doing that, I started then, was in another band called Buio Omega, which has got members from the Italian band Mortify. They arrived from southern Italy. So we've got 3 albums out with them, and from them I've released, Saxoria from Germany, Abortus, who are now known as Heritage, was actually the first Aussie band on the Battle God Productions label roster, and that was like, we released their first album, Judge Me Not, in 1999. So yeah, so from there, then heaps of things happened. I started getting all these Norwegian bands and American bands, Harkonnen from the US. 13 signed with the first UK band that I had. Back in like 2007, I think it might have been. So, yeah, as I said, one thing led to another, and here I am. I'm still doing, which I really can't believe I'm still doing. I thought it might have just been a phase, but I'm here.
Long phase.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's,
you know.
20 years is a long time in this industry, mate. Like a lot of people spend a couple of years in it and then they're old before their time. But what sort of major things have you learned about the music industry in your time working in it?
Um, the major things is it's not an easy industry to be involved in. It's a very cutthroat industry. You'll always have people working against you no matter what. You can never make everyone happy. I've realized that as well. And no matter how hard you work as well at the same time, things sometimes don't work out as planned. So you've got to really know how to handle that and what to do and what avenue to take. So, been doing it for so long, I've learned a lot of things. I've met up with a lot of overseas record labels in the past, from going back and forth back in the late 80s, 90s and the early 2000s and stuff, where you need to market an album to be able to sell it. You can't just release an album and hope for the best, because it just does not work. And when you got all these people, in modern day, it makes things so much easier with social media, but also at the same time it's hard because there's so much more of it. Where people, okay, yeah, you can have a Facebook page and sponsor stuff on your Facebook page. That's all great. It does help the band, don't get me wrong. But it's different when people see a band featured in a Metal Hammer magazine or a rock card, because that gives it that extra level, that extra push, and it makes the band seem more on a professional level, being involved with the big major media, which not everyone can be on. So, and that's what I have realized, even in the modern day with the social media. Like back in the old days, I couldn't really post advertisements up from what I've done in magazines, but today I can. So, and posting them today from what I've done in a magazine actually spreads it out a little bit more through the digital market, through the social media, which normally you wouldn't have had that. So it's a bit of a tricky industry, and you don't really be wise with the choices you make as well. And so you just gotta make sure you know what you're doing, and the bands you're releasing as well are making sure that they're basically, got their heads screwed on right, so which is the most important thing. Last thing I need is, bands just not pulling their weight around when you've done so much for them, but they're late with the interviews and all that. You just want everything to be done spot on the way it should be done, and then there'll be no problems, there'll be no dramas.
I suppose another big thing in the modern age too, like I've come across it a few times with bands I've worked with, is that they've got to understand that they're representing themselves and their brand at all times. Like I've worked with so many bands that get on social media and start wars with other bands and just get involved in bullshit stuff. But you've got to, if you really want to take it seriously and make something from it, you've got to realize that eyes are on you all the time, and you've got to conduct yourself in a professional manner as much as possible.
Yes, I totally agree. When you're starting to post stuff online, on social media, in public, you've really got to be careful how what you post, because everyone is looking, everybody is watching. So even if you put something up and then you end up deleting it, there is people out there that would have seen that post
or screenshotted it and shared it around to everybody.
Yeah, that's a normal thing that happens, but you can't help that. That's why, well, I'm not one to post negative things online, which I've seen some people do. Um, Being negative, I don't think it's a good thing. I've always wanted to post positive things online, like anything positive, something that's good, something that people go, oh wow, not something like, oh no, not that drama again, like, I don't know, man. I just just want to be myself, just do my own thing, and just post positiveness, spread positivity vibe around.
I've actually given myself a new mantra, mate. Like I've started, if I'm going to post something, whether it be a meme, whether it be a comment, or anything on social media, if my brain goes, should I or shouldn't I? The answer is no, you shouldn't.
Yeah, well, that's true too. So, well, social media, man, today, social media can make people and it can also destroy people, and it can, it's also been a known fact of social media even being able to destroy relationships and destroying bands and destroying people's reputations, with stuff that's irrelevant, and sometimes when one person says something, then it carries on, and then that truth becomes twisted and it gets changed in many forms. So you just, at the end of the day, you don't know what to think and what to believe, because one person said this, the next person is saying that. You think, wait a second, what's going on here? But as I said, I'm not really into that negative thing. I like to post.
Good thing for young up and coming bands to realize too, though, is like you like I say, there are eyes on you at all times. So like, even if you get home drunk and you want to abuse somebody on there, like that could be seen, and that could come between you and getting a gig somewhere one day.
Well, it could totally jeopardize your whole future. It can destroy you. Why let something like that do that to you, while you can just take it in a different approach? Get sobered up if you've had a few drinks. Get sobered up and rethink the situation on how you're going to handle it. I myself, I wouldn't post anything that's damaging people's credibilities or damaging people's businesses or their livelihoods or their families or whatever it may be. I would never do that, because I would never want to do any harm to anyone, because at the end of the day, we all want what we want. We all want to be good. We all want to be happy. We don't want to deal with unnecessary drama that just shouldn't be there, but it is. It's wrong. I don't agree with it at all.
Very good. All right, then, Pete. Well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. BATTLEGOD Productions is the name, and where can people want to get hold of you, or they want to check out the business? What's your web address?
www.battlegodproductions.com. So that's their website, or you can just search me on Facebook. There's 3 BattleGod Productions Facebook pages. There's one just BattleGod Productions, there's BattleGod Productions UK, and BattleGod Productions in Norway. So there's 3 there. so you can go and check some stuff out. I'm keeping it active as much as possible. So yes, and I got new releases coming up very soon as well. So keep an eye out for them.
And the big 30th bash next year and something in December. So there's a lot happening. So basically just keep an eye, steadily check in on the Facebook page and the website every now and then, because there's lots coming up.